Calliope, and I'm going to be taking care of you today. Are you currently experiencing a headache? Okay, well, it's a little bit bright in here. If you'd like, I can turn down the lights a little bit, make it a little less stimulating. Okay, give me just a moment. It's a little bit better, isn't it? Yeah. So I would like to start by just mapping out the boundaries of your headache so that we can use that information to help determine what exactly is going on. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to just gently press around your head, and if you could just tell me where you feel any pain or tenderness, that would be extremely helpful. Okay. Alright, so let's start just right in here. I'm going to go all around your head. And would you mind just telling me what kind of symptoms you're having with your headache? Okay. Alright. And how often do you tend to get this kind of headache? Okay. And do you get any other kinds of headaches? And do you have any history of migraine at all? Okay. Just come right in here. Good. Just very gently, bit by bit, covering the head. I'm going to go a little further back here. To get my fingers through the hair a bit. There. Good. Okay. And just coming closer so that I can get towards the back here. And let's see, back of the neck. This other side. Okay, now I'm going to come into the face a bit. So just let me know if you feel any pain or tenderness along the forehead here, inner corners of the eyes, along the orbital ridge, the cheekbones, temples. Okay. There we are. And anything right here at the jaw. Okay. Alright. So we've got those boundaries kind of mapped out. Now, the thing about headaches is, unfortunately, there are a lot of things that can cause them. We have dehydration, is a pretty major one. So, I have a new water bottle for you, so even if you're not dehydrated, this is likely going to help quite a bit. Even mild dehydration can make you quite foggy. So just crack that open. And I'm gonna have have you sip on that, and that should help. We have things like eye strain. If you're looking at a computer or any sort of screen for a while, even reading, your eyes are at a fixed distance and you don't take the time to look around. You have things like stress, muscle tension, especially in the neck and the trapezius, can cause headaches. We have pinched nerves, sinus issues, migraine, that sort of thing. So we are going to take a multi-pronged approach to address your headache. So I am going to test some of the muscle tension in your muscles of mastication here. So I'm going to start with the masseter. And these muscles are very strong, so if they are quite tense, they can cause headaches. Right in here, if I could have you clench the jaw, unclench, clench, unclench, clench, unclench. Good. And did that feel painful or tender at all? Okay. Do you happen to grind your teeth at all? Whether it's through the day or at night? Okay, so we might be getting a little bit of tension from there. Now I'd like to test the temporomandibular joint, which allows your jaw to move. I could have you open the jaw. Close. Can you move your jaw this way and the other way? Okay, there was a bit of clicking and some dysfunction there. Felt like a little bit of odd movement there. So we certainly could have some issues here. The other major muscle mastication right here, the temporalis muscle, which in Latin means time muscle. So I'm gonna have you clench and unclench again so we can feel the bulk of the muscle and how that changes when it's activated. Have you clench the jaw, unclench, clench, clench, and unclench. Okay, very good. So that's left tight, then the masseter, which is good. So we talked about sinuses also being a source of some headaches. So I want to just press in on the different sinus cavities and see if that's what we're dealing with. So I'm going to start gently. We're going to press in on each area, and then we're going to do a bit of an accentuation maneuver. So just tell me if this is painful or tender at all. We're going to press, release on the frontal sinuses, on the forehead, and then the ethmoid sinuses along the bridge of the nose and downwards along the nose and the maxillary sinuses. I'm just using a very gentle touch. Press, release, press, release along the maxillary sinuses here. Okay, and how was that? Alright, so now I'm going to tap on the sinuses which if there is any irritation, that's going to be pretty apparent. So let me know if there is. And I'm just going to tap, tap, tap along the frontal sinuses, down the ethmoid sinuses, the maxillary sinuses. Okay, nothing there. That's good. Okay. Now I'm going to check your lymph nodes because another cause is going to be general illness. So let's start right here at the back. We could see maybe there's any lingering signs of illness or the start of something. Okay, behind the ears, rolling the skin, front of the ears. Let's see, we'll come down. So we have parotid gland and down to submental, submandibular nodes. And then we have our different cervical nodes here in the neck and all the way down to the supraclavicular nodes right above the clavicles. Okay. So let's go ahead and just check on the eyes. So I've got a more gentle light, but it still might be a little intense. We just want to check for any neurological issues. So I'm going to have you look right here, and I'm going to try to be real quick. So we're just going to bring this light in and out. Very gentle, in and out. In and out there. This is my most gentle light. And in and out. In and out. Okay, good. Just keep looking at my nose here. Good. Okay. There we are. Good. Now, I want you to tell me if you can see my fingers in each section of your visual field. So something that happens when you have a migraine, sometimes people lose vision. For example, I often would lose vision in my left eye, either the entire eye or even just a quadrant would be missing, which is very odd. So if you could just tell me, you could see my fingers right here. If you just look at my nose. Okay, what about right in here? Right in here? And here. Okay, right here. Good. Here. 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 Okay. Look at my face. And is there any part of my face that's missing at all or distorted? Okay. Now let's check for a bit of eye strain. I'm going to have you just follow my fingers here and have you follow them to one side. And is there any strain, pain, or tenderness? Okay, and if I guide your eyes over here, any strain, pain, or tenderness? Okay, what about up here? Down here? Okay, over here. 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 Okay, to bring them out. And is there any point where you feel any sort of strain? As I bring them in and out, are they fairly smooth in transitioning from up close to far away? Okay. Good. Alright. So, finally, I just want to check your head range of movement and see if there's any muscle tension, strain, any signs of pinched nerves, anything like that. So I'm going to move your head around and just let me know if any of that is painful. So I'm going to have you just let me hold your head in my hands here, okay? And any pain when I move the head up. Okay, and how about down? Alright, to the side. The other side. Okay, and if I tilt the head a bit. Tilt. Okay, good. So, no particular pain or strain with any of that. Excellent. We are going to start our treatment with some massage here along the back of the neck and the trapezius. So you've got the pattern of a stress or tension headache, which often feels like a hat that's too tight on the head. It's like a band around the head. And it can be caused by muscle tension, general life stress, or stress about something specific. So we're going to just hit that from all sides. We'll start by just working along the neck and trapezius here, up to the occiput. See if maybe there are any little knots in here, or if we can get the muscles to relax a little bit. Good. Okay, so not really getting in very firm. I'm just kind of feeling around, warming up the tissues, and just kind of exploring and seeing if there are really any tight areas. Here we are. We'll just work our way around the head, on the face. See if we can hit a treatment that really is quite effective for you so that you can take that with you. And in a pinch, do that. Good. So I have a steam towel here, just a little guy. We'll actually just fold that the other way here. So the difference between hot and cold compresses is generally our hot compresses are for muscle stiffness all situated on the neck. Muscle stiffness and tightness. There we are. Which is good for right in here. And then cold compresses we use for inflammation and pain and swelling and tenderness. So let's go ahead and come right up in here. That bit of warmth will definitely help loosen things up, and that can radiate a little bit up the head. We're going to get a little closer here so that I can work right at the occiput. We can see, so sometimes your occipital area can get quite pinched from sleeping wrong or from the way you hold your head. And I've had this happen before where I had my occipital area pretty pinched, and it actually pinched my trigeminal nerve, just one of your cranial nerves, so I would get numbness and tingling along the 3 branches of my trigeminal nerve because everything was just real messed up back there. So after doing some physical therapy and getting a lot of that released, then I didn't have the numbness and tingling anymore. We're just trying to open this up a little bit. And I'm just going to grab that compress here. And we're going to fold this, and I'm just going to hold that at the base of the skull so that we can kind of open that area up a little bit. And then I can exchange that for a warmer one. Okay, so let's get a new one of those. Fold that. And then we can just put that back there. And work right back here. Good. Okay, and just bringing that, using one hand to just bring that up using circular movements, and we're just working the skin around, getting a little deeper. Okay, the other hand here. Alright, we're just going to bring that up. Okay, now I want to work with the jaw, because our mastication muscles are pretty tight. So let's just warm this area up a bit. Not even really moving things around too much. We're just trying to get a little bit of heat. this is an area that often I myself have to open the jaw and really press in with very firm pressure to try to release some of those trigger points and try to release some of the adhesions, the sticking in the tissue. But it helps that much more if you warm it up a bit and let the muscles soften. Okay, so this is where we're going to get quite firm. Let me know if any of this is too firm, too painful, and then after releasing we can massage that to help disperse those feelings. So I'm going to press in, release, press, release, press, release. I'm just going to go all around the jaw here, and it'll be quite sore afterwards, but the jaw can, that tension, once it's dissipated, it can bounce back pretty quick. Okay, and then we're just going to get some slow, deep circles in there to help dissipate that. Doing okay on the pressure? Yeah, okay. Good. Right, I'll just get in there. And doing those little clenches and unclenches and moving the jaw a bit, it also can help relax the muscles and get everything back into a better position. Oftentimes what I'll do when things are really, really tight is I'll put the opposite hand, my thumb, on my canine tooth, my first finger on my back teeth, and you hold open and stretch your jaw for a few seconds. Release. Stretch for a few seconds, release, stretch. And then after doing the other side, you hold right here where you can feel that hinge and just open and close your jaw a few times. And that can help stretch that out. Okay, now there wasn't as much tension here in the temporalis, so we're just going to give this guy just a little bit. Just a bit. And I'll just do one side at a time here. Be a little more gentle. Pressure okay here? Okay. Just doing these, not firm, but I am moving the skin around and getting to the muscle underneath. Just doing circles here. We want to be quite gentle. release some of the tension in the tissues, getting a little bit of movement in there. Okay, so eye strain is next. Eye strain is kind of a given for anybody that looks at their phone for a good amount of time or works on the computer, plays video games. So we are going to exercise the eyes a little bit. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you follow some instructions. I'm going to tell you where to move your eyes. I'm just going to have you move them as far as they can go. So I'm going to have you look up, up as far as they go, without moving your head. Go. Good, and look down as far as you can. Look down without moving the head. Down, and look to your left. Good, as far as you can go, and look to your right. And can you look diagonally up and diagonally down, diagonally up, diagonally down. Good, so I'll have you look up, 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 up as far as you can, down, down as far as you can, and to the left as far as you can, right as far as you can, diagonally up, good, diagonally up, diagonally down, diagonally down. Okay. I want you to focus on my fingers here without moving your head. Focus on them. And then look back here. Good. Look right here. Look right here. Look back here. We're just allowing our eyes to focus in at different distances. Right here. That they get a little bit of exercise. Right here. Right here. Good. Up here. Good, and that's just helpful too. Once in a while, it's usually a 20-minute rule. Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds to let your eyes relax a little. Now, as we said before, heat is good for muscle stiffness and for tightness in the muscles, but cold is good for everything else. Inflammation, swelling, tenderness, pain. So, I've got some very cold little globes here, ice globes, and I'm going to use this little area right here along the eye to help with some of that strain and tenderness. We're just going to come around the orbit here. So let's just bring that around the eye. And we can kind of roll that around. Good. little bit of pressure. There we are. Good. And that can also have the added benefit of, if your eyes are a little puffy, this can help with that. A little bit of a cosmetic benefit as well. Good. Let me just switch here. A little colder since I'm not handling it. Good. Just very, very gently here, working around the eye. Little circles. And then if you could just close your eye, I'm just going to hold this right here. And we'll let that cool the area a little bit. Just running this around the other eye, working around the eye, soothing down the strain and tension. Working with super gentle pressure. There we are. Good. Following the orbit, being very delicate about the skin of the eyes. Little circles around. Switching out the globe for one that's a little cooler. Okay, close your eyes. You can just press that right there. There. Good. We are going to work along this tension belt of the head and try to get some of that released a little bit. How is your headache doing currently? Okay. We're going to just try to release some of the tissue here. And just bringing that so it can be quite a wide band there. So we're going to be eventually just getting kind of everywhere. And a lot of this is trying to move if there's any part of the muscles just holding on too tight, maybe we can get that to soften a bit. It's along each side here and coming into the top of the head. Okay, that's not as warm, so let's get a new one. Replace that. There. Then come back to that. Just using my hand to really get into the tissue. The other. Now that everything's real warmed up, we're going to do a bit of a scalp release, which involves me holding on to the hair and just lifting it away from the scalp. So I'm not going to be like yanking on your hair or anything. I'm just going to get my hands in there so I have a real wide area and the tension is dispersed. Let's just do some very gentle face touching, not necessarily for our headache relieving properties, but just to help soothe down a little bit. Good. Very gentle. Very gentle. Just for its more stress relieving properties. There we are. we did a plethora of different things to help with your headache, and I hope that at least one of those things could help, and that perhaps in the future you can use that for any future headaches. So we have a little bit of a checklist to see what's going on and what you can do about it. See if you're dehydrated, coming down with something. Is it something with the sinuses, head or neck tension, stress, anything like that? Is it a migraine? Yeah. Good. Okay. So, let me grab that compress from you. And that will conclude our session here at the Headache Clinic. I'd like to thank you so much for coming in, and I hope we were able to greatly reduce what you had going on. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night. Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And a big thank you to my patrons on Patreon, without which I wouldn't be able to make these videos. If you'd like to help support the channel, I have a link to my Patreon in the description box below. I offer perks like early access to videos, ad-free access to said videos, Patreon exclusive videos, and audio downloads of all my content. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night.